And China actually confirming that meeting tomorrow between President Trump and President Xi. President Trump saying he expects to lower tariffs that are linked to fentanyl, as we were just talking about this, but there's a lot more involved, and Eamon Javers has been covering it all. He joins us right now with the latest. Eamon, good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Becky. President Trump arrived in South Korea overnight, and he met with President Lee of South Korea during the APEC Summit there. He was presented with the nation's High Honor Medal for contributions to South Korean national security and given a replica of a historic crown as a personal gift from the South Korean president. Trump and the South Korean leader quashed hopes, though, of a meeting with North Korean leader Kim Jong-un, with Trump saying the timing simply didn't work out for that on this trip. But he did have some positive things to say ahead of tomorrow's widely anticipated meeting with Xi Jinping.
President Xi of China is coming tomorrow here, and we're going to be, I hope, making a deal. I think we're going to have a deal. I think it'll be a good deal for both. And that's really a great result. You know, that's better than fighting and going through all sorts of problems and, you know, no reason for it. I think it's going to be a great deal for both.
Now, the two leaders also spoke about the prospect for nuclear-powered submarines for South Korea, joint shipbuilding efforts and manufacturing in the United States. Despite the upbeat rhetoric, though, the two sides were not able to conclude a trade deal. The U.S. and South Korea developed a framework for a deal earlier in the summer, but they've not been able to finalize it because South Korean officials have balked at Trump's demand for $350 billion in investment in the United States, which they worry could be destabilizing for the South Korean economy. Now, President Trump also attended what's being billed as a special presidential dinner for heads of state and government moments ago, which was also attended by other leaders in town for APEC, including those from Vietnam, Australia, New Zealand, Canada, Thailand, and Singapore. And guys, I should mention, at that dinner just a few moments ago, the president did say that he and the South Korean leader have arrived at a deal. Not clear exactly what he's talking about there, so we'll monitor that and see if there's any indication that maybe they can resuscitate this trade deal between the United States and South Korea. We'll try to get some more details here from the traveling press team over in South Korea. Back over to you.
Hey, Eamon, the details coming fast and furious, probably every time President Trump's in front of a camera, hearing more about what may be happening. Right. The framework has been telegraphed pretty clearly, but it does sound like it's not just President Trump and the American administration that's talking in more accommodating language, but certainly the Chinese, too, seem to be much more accommodating in their language of this overnight.
Yeah, and we saw a statement from the Chinese Foreign Ministry overnight, acknowledging that this meeting is happening and, you know, with some positive rhetoric around, you know, what they hope to accomplish. Very thin on details. They said we'll release details in due course. And, you know, naturally that's because the meeting hasn't happened yet. So, you know, there's a lot of positive vibes, Becky, I would say, in advance of this meeting. The question is, as you guys were just debating, you know, what can actually be agreed to between these two countries? Is this an all or nothing deal, or is there some incremental deal that they could do that's short of resolving every trade issue between these two economies? We just don't know the shape and scope of that, and we won't know that until the meeting happens. It's going to happen in the nighttime hours here on the East Coast of the United States. So later this evening, after market close, after close of business, we will start to see some of those pictures come in.
Yeah, and I think the other question is what Congress will go along with on all of this, because there have been some major China hawks on both sides of the aisle. Not that Congress is even operating at this point, but if they ever reopen the government,
right,
what Congress would agree to do with any of this stuff. Eamon, thank you. We will Oh, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, especially as you were just pointing out, when you talk about exporting those highly sensitive chips to China, that does make a lot of people in Washington nervous. But NVIDIA, Jensen Huang has been on a global lobbying tour of President Trump, and maybe that's been persuasive.